Good evening, everyone. My name is Druid37. I tried to live stream using YouTube and TikTok. Turns out you have to have a certain eligibility of followers. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this into a video of a build I've been working on for Eventually. This is more of a meme build. And this is also my first character builds for D&D 5e. And it's going to be using the Eventually rules, which the rules for Eventually follows you cannot do roll for stats. You can't use standard array. And you can use one book besides the player's handbook, so it's one book plus one, which we will be using, of course, the player's handbook. And today we'll be using Xanathar's Guide, because they will be two parts of the build we're working on. The meme build we're working on, I'm going to call it, is the I Go First build. It's technically built three ways, but we're going to focus on the human version of it. It's a little creation I made to kind of not really, hopefully, aggravate other players in your party, but always make sure you go first in combat, because at the end of it, we're going to have up to a plus 22 in our initiative. So even if you roll 1, since there's no critical fails for initiative, you have a 23. Most bosses will not be able to reach that high. Barring that, it's a multi-class. It's going to require 3 classes, which is Rogue, Wizard, and Fighter. Let's see, it's going to mostly use levels and fighters due to the fact they get what's called ability score increases to increase their stats and get feats, which we're going to use. When I said we're going to use the human race, we're going to use a special version of the race that is allowed in Eventually, at least last time I checked, for Tomb of Annihilation. You can use the human variant, as it counts as one of the variant races rules, and is in the player's handbook, which allows you to get +1 to your 2 stats and a feat of your choice at level 1. To start off this build, we're going to go into pick the human variant race, we're going to point by our stats 15 to charisma, 15 to intelligence, and 15 to dexterity. This is the bad part of the build. So for those, this is more for people who are experienced with D&D. All your other stats are going to be 8. So your strength, your constitution, and your wisdom. Those are your dump stats. But we don't care about that. We only care about going first and then running away. The first class we're going to take is Wizard. The reason why we're taking Wizard is because it gets the easiest bump in initiative bonuses at level 2. Very quick, using Xanathar's Guide. Also, the feat we're going to take for our human variant race is going to be the Alert feat, a feat that adds +5 to your initiative, makes it as long as you're conscious, you cannot be surprised, and enemies do not gain advantage against you if they're being hidden from you. They do not get advantage from that. So right now, with those 2 +1 to stats, we're going to add them to Dexterity and Intelligence, making them a solid 16 and 16, making your modifiers +3 and +3 and +2 to your Charisma. So your initiative already is a flat +3, because initiative standard uses your Dexterity modifier. So it's 3 in initiative. We took the Alert feat, which bumps it up instantly to 8. So at level 1, we already have +8. We're probably beating most people at the table, and most of the monsters you're going up against. We're going to go ahead and take that first level Wizard. You get a bunch of other cool benefits. You get Arcane Recovery, which lets you get spell slots equal to half your level in Wizard. You get cantrips, of course, and you get to cast spells. You can kind of modify yourself and make it so you can help out the party. At level 2, we're going to stay Wizard. We're not multiclassing yet, but we are going to, using Xanathar's Guide, take, I just want to show you a picture of what we're taking, the War Magic School. Because Wizards at level 2 get a school, or Arcane Tradition, as it's called. And we're going to take War Magic. There's a little picture of the guy. And with War Magic, you get 2 abilities right off the bat at level 2. You get Arcane Deflection, which you can use your reaction to give you a +2 to your AC, in case you're getting attacked, or +4 to your saving throw that you would have failed. But if you do this, you can only cast cantrips until the end of your next turn. So your next turn may not be as good in terms of spellcasting, but you really don't care. You want to keep yourself alive, or you want to pass that saving throw. The reason why we took it is because you also get Tactical Wit, which allows you to add your intelligence modifier to your initiative now. So remember how we had 8? We had 5 from Alert, 3 from our Dexterity modifier since it's 16, and since we had a +1 to Intelligence, making it 16, now we have an additional +3, making it a total of 11 at level 2. 1s now are automatically 12s, 20s are 31. Again, you're probably not going to lose your initiative. You'll be going first. It's just you're not going to be doing much at level 2. This is where we're going to start multi-classing. After level 2, since we have the required stats, you are now going to move into Rogue. First one level rogue, for those of you who are experienced, you know you get sneak attack, which is pretty cool. You get an extra 1d6 to your melee damage, which you're thinking, but I took wizard, so why would I be? You'll figure out in a second. You get a language only you know and other thieves know, which is Thieves' Cant. And you have the ability to get expertise in 2 skills or in a skill in Thieves' Tools. That's just little extra things. They really don't mess with the build. This is something you can choose to use to improve your character or to help the party out. We're going to go ahead and go to level 2 of Rogue. So 2 in Wizard, 2 in Rogue. We're at level 4. You get Cunning Action, which allows you to use a bonus action during combat to take the dash action, the hide action, disengage. Those actions for your roguishness. You can escape out of fights. You can hide if you really need to hide real quick. Just a nice little bonus thing to keep you alive. Level 3, or level 5 as your character, but level 3, we're going to go ahead and go to Rogue. So you have 5 levels total, 3 in Rogue, 2 in Wizard. You're going to pick, using Xanathar's Guide again, since we're still following the +1 book, we're going to go ahead and pick the Roguish archetype of Swashbuckler. I'm not even going to show you the picture this time because it doesn't have one. But they get a couple cool abilities. They get Fancy Footwork. So whenever you do a melee attack against somebody, they cannot take opportunity attacks against you until the end of your turn. So, for example, you're using your wizard spells, you're kind of watching around, maybe opening a lock, you get surrounded. Maybe people use dire rats. You get surrounded by 5 dire rats. Let's say only one of them is close enough to attack you. If you even attempt a melee attack, doesn't say you have to hit them. As long as you attempt a melee attack, using a dagger, maybe a rapier, as long as you attempt, even if you miss, they cannot attack you if you choose to leave, even if you don't take the disengage action. So guess what? That cunning action you have, use it to dash. Get out of there. Get out of that whole situation. You're out. You don't have to use your reaction now to increase your AC. You can just book it. You'll have 60 feet of movement if you take the dash action. And it will help you later when we start taking levels in the fighter, because you'll get more attacks. The reason why we took it, this is the second ability that Swashbucklers, they get Rakish Audacity. They get to add their Charisma modifier to their initiative. So we have a 15 in our Charisma, so we only have +2 right now, but it's still something. It's going to go ahead and bump our 11 to 13 now, because we have +2 from our Charisma, +3 from our Intelligence, +3 from our Dexterity, so that's 3, 6, 8, and then, oh wait, that's 13, +5 from your Alert. So you have 13 initiative. Again, probably losing fights. Even though you're level 5, you're falling behind most of the other players because you don't have any ability score increases, and also your damage output isn't good. But you're really not worried about doing damage output. You're trying to be the jack of all trades, or strike first, leave later. It also gives you the added benefit of you get the ability to add your sneak attack damage to your melee attacks in one-on-one combat with somebody, as long as there's no other creature within 5 feet of you. You are not at disadvantage, and you still benefit from the other sneak attack rolls. But it has to be with a melee weapon if you're using this ability. It's only for melee attack versions. But you can use a bow for far range sneak attacks, or if you're by yourself in one-on-one combat, this is great for when you pull out your rapier or your dagger. Moving on to level 6 of your character. We are now dipping into Fighter. We reached the requirements. Rogue and Fighter are very cool. They only require a 13 dex, or in the case, Fighter can also use 13 strength for multiclassing. The only weird guy out was Wizard, who requires a 13 intelligence. But that's why we maxed out intelligence, dexterity, and charisma. You get a fighting style at level 1 of Fighter. So I would suggest, it's completely up to you, because of the fact that you have casting, you have the sneak attack, I would suggest either archery, because you get sneak attack with your ranged weapons, which gives you a +2 to your ranged weapon attacks. Defense, if you choose not to use mage armor. This is if you choose not to use mage armor. Defense, which adds +1 to your AC as long as you're armored. Or dueling, which is +2 to your damage to your weapon attacks as long as you're using a one-handed weapon and no other weapon in your other hand. So a rapier, dagger, short sword, whip, take your pick. You get to add a flat +2 to your damage with those attacks, as long as there's no other weapon in this hand. There can be a shield, there can be a spell component, spell focus, you can have it in there. This can only be your only weapon. So that's why I don't suggest usually dual wielding. There are other options like protection, dual wielding, great weapon master. They really don't help in your build. Let's see. You also get the second wind feature, which allows you to, as a bonus action, heal for 1d10 plus your fighter level, once per short or long rest. You're going to go ahead and go to level 7, total player level, or You're second level in fighter now, so you're 2-3-2. You get Action Surge, one of the best multi-classing abilities and best fighter abilities in the game. You get an additional action. You can do this as a free action. You can choose on your turn to get an additional free action on top of your regular action. Well, an action on top of your regular action. It does not increase the number of bonus actions you have. Bonus actions are always one, and it's only if something gives you a bonus action. So like that cunning action, spells like Blessed Shield. If something gives you a bonus action, you get it, but you only get one per whole round. But Action Surge is great because you could say, hey, when you're high enough level, popping Action Surge, Snillick Snowball Storm, I'm just picking something out. Go to your attacks, bonus action, dash out. Because you could even do 2 spells, as long as they're either 2 cantrips if you use the bonus action spell, or 2 action spells and use your bonus action for no other thing except for maybe attacking or using your cunning action. Once you do this, though, you have to finish a short or long rest before you get the benefits of Action Surge. Moving on to level 8, we're going to take another level in fighter, so we're at 3rd level fighter. We're going to pick a martial arts type. Martial art types are the things that, just like we mentioned with the roguish art type and the arcane tradition, they benefit the fighter a little bit. We're going to pick champion, one of the most underutilized, in my opinion at least, archetypes for the fighter. You get, it's pretty basic. You have an improved critical. You crit on a 19 or a 20. It sounds bad, but it's actually pretty cool to me, especially since if you have advantage, that increases from a 10% to a 20% chance of getting a crit. We're going to go ahead and stay fighter again. We're moving on to level 9. We're going to take a 4th level in fighter. We now get an ASI, because fighters get the most ASIs out of all the classes. I think rogue's a close second. For our first ASI, we're going to add +1 to our dex, bringing it to 17, and +1 to charisma, rounding it out to 16. Now that we have 16, our initiative is going to improve. It's going to go to 14 now. It goes 13, goes to 14 because Rockish Audacity allows us to add that +1. Go to level 10, doing a level in fighter. Since you have 5 levels in fighter, you get an extra attack. So you can make 2 melee attacks or 2 attacks with a ranged weapon per turn now. Moving to level 11, we are a level 6 fighter. We get another ability score increase. This is one of the only other feats we're going to take. We took alert, we're going to take another feat. You can choose to take a different feat as long as it adds to one of those 3 prime stats, charisma, intelligence, or dexterity. We're going to pick athlete because it helps us get away faster. We can ignore uncommon terrain. We can increase our jump distance. We're going to pick that, and we're going to pick the dexterity, bringing dexterity to 18, making it +4 for our dexterity modifier. Now bringing us to +15 for initiative. Guess what? Now you have 16 whenever you roll 1, which you average is 10, 11, so you're probably rolling about 26, 25. Moving to level 12, on a level in fighter. We are level 7. This is the reason why we picked champion. You get the Remarkable Athlete feature. You can add half of your proficiency bonus, rounded up, to strength, dex, or constitution checks that don't use your proficiency bonus. Initiative actually counts as a check. It's just a check you can never get proficiency in, but the game counts it as a check. So at level 12, your proficiency bonus is +4. With this ability, you're going to add a flat +2 to your initiative now, bringing this from the 15 up to 17. We're only 5 points away from having that +22. You also get the ability, ignore this part. This is if you were, let's say you want to play a fighter, but you didn't want to multiclass. You can add your strength modifier to your jump distance if you do a running jump. Unfortunately, that's a negative for us. It's a -1, so we'd be actually losing footage. Ignore it. Use the athlete feat. Moving on to level 13, we're taking a level fighter, bringing it to 8. Our proficiency bonus from level 13, 12 stays +4. 13 makes it instantly +5, which brings our proficiency bonus to 2. Half is 2.5. We round up to 3. So now and we get an ASI. So with the ASI, we're going to add +2 to dex, rounding it out to 20, increasing our armor class. We're going to have the +5 modifier. And we're going to have the other +1 to the Remarkable Athlete bonus. So, to break it down, in case this was a little confusing, you have 16 charisma. That's +3. You have 16 intelligence. That's +3. That's 6. You have 20 dex now. That's a +5 modifier. Now that brings us to 11 initiative. We have the alert feat, which brings us another 5. That's 16. And now we have +3 from half our proficiency bonus rounded up, bringing us to +19 initiative. You are rolling 20s on 1s. You are rolling 39s on 20s. Average, you're rolling about 29, 28, maybe 31, 32. Keep on moving. Level 14, we're going to go ahead and put another level in fighter, bringing it to 9. You get Indomitable, which allows you to reroll failed saving throws. You just have to take the new one if you choose to do this. And if you choose to do this, you can only do this once per long rest. So do it again, get to finish a long rest. Moving on to level 15, we're going to do 10th level in fighter. You get another fighting style from your champion feature. So I would suggest one of the ones you didn't pick for 4. So for example, if you picked dueling, pick archery, or pick defense. If you pick defense, you get the idea. Level 16, fighter. We're going to have one more level in fighter after this. Level 16, we're going to pick 11th level in fighter. Biggest benefit is you get another attack. So you have 3 attacks now. You take the attack action. So let's say you're going for ranged, bow attack, bow attack, bow attack, dagger attack, dagger attack, dagger attack. Which, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, the reason why we pick fighter as well is wizard and rogue usually don't get proficiency in all weapons. Rogues do get proficiency in ranged and some dexterity-based weapons. Once we take a level into fighter, one of the benefits to multiclassing, automatically have proficiency in all armors and weapons. So you can use shields, you can use leather armors, you can use bows, all that kind of good stuff. The only thing is, remember with the wizard class, is you have to have a free hand so you can use those spells. With the bow, you can actually do that. You could put the bow in one hand if you have a short bow. To fire it, you need to use both hands. And I would suggest using a rapier and maybe a shield, but the shields might throw it off because you need to have a warcaster for that to work, or you have to stow one of the things in your hand. So I would suggest staying one-handed weapons or short bow, so you can cast spells. But now you have proficiency, and if you don't want to use mage armor, now you can wear any armor you want. It's not going to throw off your wizard spellcasting. But you cannot wear heavy armors because your strength isn't high enough. So leather armors it is. So you get the additional attack. Now we're moving to level 17 total, which is going to bring us level 12 fighter. We get our last ASI, or ability score improvement, from fighter. We're going to add that, since we have 20 in dexterity, we're going to add +2 to intelligence. It's going to have the extra bonus of bringing your intelligence modifier up, but also bring our spell save DC and spell tag bonus for the wizard spells, another +1. When we bump that up, we now have a +20 initiative. We had +19 before, easy, +1. So we are now 20 dex, 18 intelligence, 16 charisma. You're probably wondering, we're just going to take more levels of fighters? No, we actually do not get that many because we're at 17. So we only have 3 levels left. We are now going to go back and put a level in rogue. Round it off at 4. Only reason is we are getting another ability score increase, and we're going to improve either intelligence or charisma by +2, bringing us to 21. Also, another bonus is you get a sneak attack die of 2d6, so you have some damage output. For 19 and 20, you are just going to finish it off with wizard. You can choose to finish it off with rogues because they do get an ASI at 6. The only benefit of that is you get more expertise, while with the wizard, you get more spell slots, and you get level 2 spells. So you could have more utility spells. At level 3, you get the utility spells. So that's level 19 player, level 3 wizard. So you get second level spells, increased spell slots. And finally, rounding out at level 20, level 4 wizard, level 4 rogue, level 12 fighter. You're going to add +2 to your charisma, or +2 to your intelligence if you haven't finished it off. You should add this finished +22 to your initiative. We'll go ahead and do the math one more time. We'll start with these ones. +5 for alert. That's 5 flat. +5 for intelligence. That's 10. +5 to your dexterity. That's 15. +4 to charisma. That's 19. Oh, wait. That's 19. And then half our proficiency bonus for remarkable athlete. That's +22. Congratulations with this meme build. On a 1, you get a +22. And on a 20, you're getting a 23. And on a 20, you're getting a 42. There is no one who's going to be able to go first before you. Now here's the cons and the pros of the class. We're going to start with pros because it's the easiest. Pro, you are literally probably going to go first before everybody else. There's very few builds that are going to go before you. Bosses may go before you. Tiamat, they might go before you, but there's a small chance. Because even their initiative bonuses are sometimes +6, +7. So even on a high roll, they can get 27. You're going to beat them 99% of the time. You're always going first. We're just going to say, I'll be ready and say you're going first. Second, Action Surge, along with those benefits, you can cast, like I said before, 2 main action spells. You can do those crazy attacks, so you could go, you're surrounded. You have Ricochet Audacity, though, and you have your cunning action. But there's like 6 dudes around you. What do? Action Surge, take out that rapier, take out that short sword. Attempt attacks on each person. You miss, who cares? They can attack you with opportunity attacks. Use that dash action with the cunning action, get out of there. Sure, you pop your Action Surge, but you gotta have a bad situation, and you're probably about 60 feet, maybe even 80 feet away. Next, again, Ricochet Audacity, we talked about that. That helps you get out of being surrounded. And the cunning action helps as well, because you don't even have to use Ricochet Audacity. You could just cunning action, disengage, cast some spells, do something. Fog Cloud, you can think about it. Levitate, there you go. The spell work that we mentioned from Wizard, even though it's very low, you do get a lot of utility spells. That's what I like about low-level wizards and low-level sorcerers. They get a lot of utility. Mage Armor, Levitate, Featherfall, Long Strider. You get spells that will help you more survive than help in combat. Now for the cons. You're probably guessing which one is the easiest. Your health is low. I did an average build. I did average taking life. So your average at level 20 is 90, because you have a -1 to your con. And you, even though you're a fighter, you got 6 hit points per level of fighter, you only got 12 levels of fighter. So you can do 12 times 6, because that's the average if you took it. So you're looking at 72, then you're in a -12, so that's 60. You do not get a lot of hit points with this build. But your plan is to get in, get out. That's your plan. You're not in for the long haul. Or to scout. That's your plan. Number 2, you are versatile. But as with anything with versatile, you are not a master of anything. Those 12 levels you took in Fighter, that's probably the most mastered you are at something. Not as mastered as somebody who took 20 levels in Fighter. When they're 4 attacks and they're improved critical 18 to 20, they're I heal at the beginning of each turn if they took Champion, or Battle Master, where I can pretty much control the battlefield. Wizard, as you know, level 20 Wizard, Wish, Time Stop, take your pick, get a bunch of cool stuff. You do get, I will say the cool thing is you do get level 17 cantrips, because cantrips do not care about your caster level, they care about your player level. So your cantrips will be doing high damage or high effects. Last but not least, lots of mechanics. So this is why I said this is for experienced players, not newer players. Newer players, if you're like, hey, I want to try this out, I want to be a living meme. I want to try this out. As you've heard from me, your sheet's going to be like this big with all your mechanics. And you're going to probably be like, oh, wait, I forgot. Let me use this, or let me use this. You might bog the game out with all your mechanics. If you want to do it, no one's stopping you, try to learn it first, though, and talk to your DM. Your DM may be like, that's a lot of mechanics, and I don't want to worry about all that stuff. Last but not least, remember you have those utility spells that I like. They're very low level. You're not going to be the spell work guy. You're using it as a toolkit, not as enhancer. Well, that brings our meme build for the day. I'm going to see how this one pans out. If it turns out good, I'll keep doing them. The next one, if it does work out, is I Know Everything, or also known as a Skill Monkey. I have a build that has proficiency in every skill, and to give you a hint, you also have expertise in 9 skills. Y'all have yourselves a blessed night. Keep on rolling them die.